Okay na. Good morning po sa ating lahat and welcome to our OSH webinar series, episode 2, Accident Investigation. As we start, let's pray. Father God, we praise you and thank you for gathering us today. Thank you for all the blessings you continue to give us every day. We ask you to bless our speakers so that they would be able to share their knowledge and bring their expertise to the participants. Bless all the participants so that they would be able to comprehend the information from this webinar and that they may use it to make their workplaces safe and healthy. We ask for your protection and guidance for all of us and for the Filipino nation. This we ask in the mighty name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. And now, let's listen for the opening remarks of our Executive Director, Noel C. Binag. Good morning po, sir.
Morning. Thank you, Timothy Paul David, for the introduction. Thank you. To our esteemed participants who are with us this morning, magandang umaga po sa inyo pong lahat. Also would like to acknowledge the team from TPID and Safety Control Division for being with us today to conduct this webinar series. Again, good morning to everyone. I would like to thank each and every one of you for virtually joining us in this webinar series. We at the Occupational Safety and Health Center are very, very grateful for your ceaseless support to the OS advocacy. The OSHC webinar series is given for free to all to discuss OSH-related government issuances and policies and other relevant OSH concerns to ensure the safety and health of workers in their respective workplaces. For this year, we targeted around 15 online public information campaign, and today will be the 7th episode. Thus, we will be seeing each other virtually every week until July or August. Today's discussion will focus on accident investigation, accident reportorial duties, in order that accidents usually happen in anywhere. However, most accidents are preventable, and accident investigations are efforts to collect and interpret facts of accidents, to explore actions that should be taken to prevent, to minimize the recurrence of accidents. We have invited our engineer, Brian Paul Paraiso, of the Safety Control Division to discuss this subject matter. As we continue back to normalcy, let us always implement the prevention and control of COVID-19 in the workplace. Before I end, I would like to invite all of you to collaborate with us in every important OSHC activities. The Department of Labor and Employment is one of the identified key partners in the implementation of bringing back jobs safely under COVID-19 here in the Philippines. The OSHC is one of the focal institutions for the conduct of ILO trainings in the prevention and control of COVID-19. We cannot do it alone. We need your support for the success of this program. I urge everyone to join the regional OSH network to be one of our resource speakers. The financial return may be minimal, but this could be a significant part of your corporate social responsibility, especially for large companies. This could be an opportunity for your company to help improve the OSH conditions of your neighboring informal sector. The establishment that form part of our supply chain. To all of you, may you remain steadfast in your advocacy. May we all be an OSH champion in our own respective workplaces. And let us always remember, ligtas po ang maingat. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po, Sir Noel Binag. Now, for our house rules, please rename your Zoom display name to this format: agency, organization, and then your name of participants. For example, Dole-1 de la Cruz. Next, your microphone will be muted by default. There will be an allotted time for Q&A. Clarification and questions will be entertained during the open forum. Please send your question via the Zoom chat box. For those watching via Facebook Live, type your questions via the comment section. Certificates and copy of presentation will be sent via email to those who will accomplish the evaluation form at the end of the session. This will also serve as your attendance. For information lang po sa ating mga nagpa-follow up ng ating certificates sa episode 1, ongoing po yung sending ng ating mga certificates. So pakihantay na lang po yung ating mga certificates. Thank you po. Let's go to frequently asked question on OSHC webinar series. Number 1, is the webinar free? Again po, ang webinar po natin ay libre. Yes, the webinar is free. Number 2, will there be an electronic certificate? Yes, certificate of participation will be given to those who will accomplish the evaluation form at the end of the session. And again po, yung ating mga certificates ay ongoing po ang sending. Pahantay na lang po, and thank you for your patience. Number 3, why is the registration on Zoom closed already? Can we still join the webinar? Ang answer po, due to limited meeting capacity, we can only accommodate a limited number of participants in our Zoom meeting room. Those who will not be able to accommodate can still watch via Facebook Live. Ang limit po ng ating Zoom ay 1,000 participants lang po. Kaya po, may Facebook Live po tayo. And let's reminder, let's accomplish po yung ating evaluation form for our attendance and certificates. Number 4, Can the unemployed join the webinar? Yes, the webinar is open to all. Pwede rin po mga estudyante, lalo na kung field nila ay about accident investigation or kahit ano po. Thank you po. Let's 5. I am watching via Facebook Live. Can I still receive a certificate? Again, yes po. Yes, whether you are attending via Zoom or watching via Facebook Live, you can still receive a certificate as long as you accomplish the evaluation form at the end of the session. Number 6, is there a deadline for the submission of the evaluation form? Yes, the deadline is only until 2 p.m. on the day of the webinar. Again po, today hanggang 2 p.m. lang po ang ating sa evaluation, ang deadline ng evaluation form. Number 7, will I given a copy of the presentation? Yes po. The copy of the presentation will be sent together with the certificate. OSH webinar series accident, episode 2, accident investigation. And now, let's welcome Engineer Brian Paul B. Paraiso, Engineer 2 of OSHC for our speaker for today. Sir?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sir Timothy. So, a pleasant morning po sa inyong lahat. I am Engineer Brian Paul Paraiso, Engineer 2 of the Safety Control Division, and I am tasked to discuss accident investigation, which is episode 2 ng ating webinar series. So, but before I start, let me remind you na it's a Friday, okay? All of us are rushing, kasi tomorrow weekend na, di ba? So pahinga, pati yung ating trabaho, nirarush natin 'yon. Meron tayong mga deadlines, mga deliverables na kailangan, may deadline natin mamayang hapon, and it might sa ating pagmamadali, we might forget yung ating mga safe work procedure, that might end up us getting involved in an accident. Okay, so yan po ang ating iiwasan. Okay? Ideally, sabi nga, safety programs focus more on preventing accidents and incidents. Pero paano kung nangyari nga yung aksidente? So kailangan a establishment or organization must have an accident investigation procedure ready. And not only accident procedure, kailangan din yung capacity building ng ating mga employees. And basically, lahat ng aksidente, kailangan ma-imbestigahan yun. The severity also determines the extent of the investigation. And if handled properly, accident investigation helps you look at problems, you solve them, you improve your safety programs, and prevent future accidents. We also have to take into consideration, okay, that adhering strictly to fact-finding, yan ang pinaka, I should say, one of the most important aspect of conducting an accident investigation, is to strictly conduct fact-finding in a neutral, non-confrontational manner. Okay? Why? Because by doing so, it identifies the true attitudes, behaviors, and other factors that led to the problem. Analyzing facts rather, and asking neutral questions like why. The why questions helps find the root cause ng aksidente. Okay? And tandaan natin, okay, the very early, very early ng aking discussion, tandaan po natin, accident investigation should not be used to put blame, okay, or punish workers, and the true facts will not emerge in this environment. And if you investigate an accident just to complete naman paperwork and just to satisfy compliance, you will erode the confidence ng system. Okay? And you won't achieve your goal of prevention and loss reduction. Okay? So, introduction po natin yan, no? On my discussion on accident investigation. Yes. Okay. So, going back, no? Pasensya na medyo may konting minor na difficulties lang. Kanina, technical difficulties. Anyway, so let's move on. Okay. So, ano yung aking topic outline for this episode? Uh, uh, Apat yung aking talking points dito, no? So, we will be discussing what is the importance of conducting an accident investigation. Okay? So, kasama dito, what is an accident investigation? Why do we need to conduct accident investigation? Who investigates? No? Who conducts accident investigation? And what makes a good accident investigation? Okay? Paano natin masasabi na complete and comprehensive? Sabi nga, leaving no stones unturned. Yung ating kwento, yung ating report ng ating accident investigation. Second, we will also be discussing what are the general knowledge and skills of an investigator. No? What should he or she possess? And I will also dealing with a specific technique here. No? The technique that I have learned, no, in the training that I had, no, together with with our fellow DOLE inspectors, no, that was year 2019, okay, sponsored by DOLE and in partnership with the International Labor Organization. No? So I will be dealing here with the peace technique. Okay, it's an acronym. Okay, peace meaning kapayapaan. Okay, and also TED questions or the funnel approach. And what are the techniques also in questioning witnesses? The third talking point here is the basic stages of an accident investigation. So what are the basic stages? It also involves the discussion point also involves preparations before commencing an investigation. So we basically really have to be prepared. Lahat ng mga materials, lahat ng mga the procedures ready, no? The gathering informations as to basically asking the who, where, when, what, how, and why. No? Because the skill involved in accident investigation is to be able, no, to find sensible and relevant answers to these 6 fundamental questions. So ang sinasabi dito, answering the 5 W and 1 H can help you in completing or in having or in conducting a comprehensive accident investigation. And also my last talking point would be on notification and records keeping. So Basically, ito ay na-focus doon sa mga safety officers, no? When it comes to repertorial requirements, like for example, your WAIR A, B, and your AEBR. Okay? So we will revisit how to properly compute yung ating FRSR, no? And ano yung mga dapat na ilalagay natin when it comes to filling up, no, yung WAIR A and B. Maybe we can also discuss yung the types of disabilities. And I will also be reiterating the workers' rights, the right to, specifically the right to report accidents, the workers' right to refuse unsafe work, okay? And payment of workers, no, during work stoppage due to imminent danger. Let's proceed. Okay. So basically, what is an accident investigation? So it's a reactive procedure, okay, so that identifies or that answers the why and how. Okay? So paano at bakit nangyari yung undesired event, may it be an accident or incident. Okay? So tandaan natin, an incident should also be investigated. Why? Because incidents have the potential to do harm. Okay? It also has a potential to be a full-blown accident. Okay? So kung hindi natin maimbestigahan yun, malaki ang possibility na ma-elevate siya into an accident and magkaroon ng damage to property and personal injury. So it is an undesired event and establishes actions required to prevent a similar event. So yun yung goal natin. No? Why do we conduct an accident investigation? Basically, you establish actions required to prevent a similar event, and ang ating the end product of it is improvement in working conditions and in occupational safety and health management. Yun yung pinaka-ultimate goal natin. Okay? No, magkaroon ng improvement. Although it is a reactive procedure, unlike among unlike the rest of the OSH programs, no, which is being proactive. Ito reactive tayo, pero ang end goal natin is to come up with improvement doon sa work condition. Okay? So aside from the identifying the how and why nung aksidente, no, the reason why do we conduct accident investigation, no, is to prevent further business losses. Okay? And tandaan natin, no, that when it comes to accident, if we are to compare it with an iceberg model, no, so I know we are familiar with an iceberg. The what you see at the surface, no, is much smaller, no, in quantity or in volume compared doon mismo sa nakatago under the surface. So roughly mga 75%, no, ng totality nung iceberg na yon, yun yung mga hidden na, let's say, hidden charges kumbaga sa company. An example would be because of the accident, the workers, no, are forced, no, are duty bound, no, to form along with the management to form an accident investigation team para maimbestigahan yung naging aksidente, and that entails work stoppage, no, and lalo na kung halimbawa yung isang company ay may hinahabol na deliverables, so matitigil yon. Very example, a simple example of that. No? Also to find weaknesses in operating procedures so they can be strengthened. Okay? So at the very start, you have established work procedure, and then accidents happen. So obviously, there is a gap between doon sa established work procedure and the actual proceedings leading to the accident. It's up for us also, the next objective, to find deficiencies, okay, doon sa risk control management, that they may be replicated throughout the organization. So, conducting an accident investigation does not only focus on the specific process na nagkaroon ng aksidente. Because chances are, there might be causes, no? There are causal factors na po pwedeng common doon sa ibang mga work processes. No? So, kaya kailangan magkaroon ng, like for example, a toolbox meeting, pag-uusapan across the organization. No? Ano yung mga talking points, ano yung mga lessons learned in order for maybe a certain process ma-prevent yun na mangyari doon sa kanila. Okay? Also, the need for an investigation, so to explain to the management authorities what, how, and why the accident or incident happened. Okay? Also, to have a formal record ng nangyari. Okay? So, having a record of a proper documentation of an accident investigation is very critical in coming up with programs which are necessary for an eventual accident prevention program. And also, when it comes to emergency response plans, emergency response procedures, okay? Investigating an accident, no, leads us to examine yung emergency plan and further improving yung response itself, no, thereby being ready for the next incident. Okay. Like for example, an accident involving a gas leak, no, or sabihin natin a fire accident. No. Siguro kung okay yung functioning or comprehensive yung emergency response plan, hindi sana naging full-blown yung sunog. So siguro nakarating lang sana sa alert level 1, okay? Naapula na sana yung apoy, or maybe a gas leak that could have been detected on the first level pa lang. Okay? Instead of mabagal yung, or sabihin natin lacking, or merong delay doon mismo sa emergency response plan, kaya nagkaroon ng lumaki, no, yung aksidente, and ultimately dumami yung affected na workers, no, na injured personnel. Now, also to give you a background, no, a perspective, no, kung ano yung current situation, no, ng when it comes to the reporting, no, ng accidents dito sa Philippines, no? And this is sourced out from various Dole regional office, no, through the Bureau of Working Condition. Okay? So from the year 2021 up to the first quarter of the year 2020. So, if we are to take a look, no, as to the type of industry, no, still, no, leading pa rin yung industry ng construction, okay, with the total number of accidents reported at 78, okay, as of this time, okay, as of writing, and 104 yung total number of workers na involved, 65 of which are fatal, and 39 are non-fatal cases. Okay? Yeah. So followed by the manufacturing. Okay? And so the total number of accidents reported as of this writing is 176 cases. Now, if we are to take a look to the total number of accidents naman reported as to the type of injury, of the 176 total number of accidents reported, roughly 30% of which, no, is electrocution. Actually, timing siya, no? It's timing siya kasi if you are to remember, no? If you remember yung previous ninyong episode, yung first episode ng ating, it does not tell you na sasabihin natin na we are to prevent, no, working doon mismo sa industry ng construction because up to now this is the construction industry is still leading, no, with the total number of accidents, as to the total number of accidents reported, no. This data tells us that we have to come up with drastic measures, no, still effective measures on how to prevent further accidents. Okay? So, who investigates? This one talks about the composition ng inyong accident investigation team. Okay? So you have there, you can come up members from the Safety and Health Committee, the supervisors or managers. Also, the safety officer can conduct as a member of an accident investigation team. Okay? Outside expert, if the situation necessitates, you can also have the services of an outside expert. Government officials, no, investigating private establishments, and employees with experience in investigations can also be a member of the accident investigation team. Now, what I am trying to stress here is who leads the accident investigation team. Okay? I know majority of you will tell me na, sir, automatic na po yan, the safety officer will lead the accident investigation team. In most cases, yes, especially kung maliit yung population, no? Maliit yung organization, yes, the safety officer can shoulder, no, can have the hat of being the leader, no, leading in the accident investigation team. But what I recommend here is the supervisor shall be the lead investigator of the team. Why? Bakit ang supervisor? Kasi unang-una, the supervisor is the most familiar, no? Among the people mentioned here, no? The supervisors are the most familiar unang-una sa process, no? Doon mismo sa pinangyarihan ng aksidente. Okay? The work system itself, okay? The supervisor is the most familiar. So anong role ng safety officer here when it comes to accident investigation? You might also say na pagdating sa dollar per dollar requirements, doon pumapasok yung role ni safety officer, no, kung hindi siya magiging lead. That's not the not all the time in your case. Okay? The safety officer can be maybe the steering component, no, ng accident investigation team. Okay? And the fact that you have to have a varied member, no, selected from the different levels of the organization, from the managers, the middle management, and from the workers. No? You have to come up with members from that level. Okay? Kasi unang-una, no, the proceedings, no, of the accident investigation shall be transparent. Okay? And you, as much as possible, kailangan maalis yung aspeto ng bias. Okay? So, the same thing with the composition of the Safety and Health Committee, no? Kaya tayo kumukuha, di ba, sa members ng Safety and Health Committee from the top management, from the middle management, up to down to the workers. No? The same with the composition ng accident investigation team. Okay? And not only picking them, handpicking them, but also capacitating them. No? you let them attend, no, yung trainings which are relevant doon sa conduct ng accident investigation. So next is what gets investigated. So following here are some of the examples na kailangan maimbestigahan. So you have there the occupational accidents. So an occurrence arising out of or in the course of work which results in a fatal or non-fatal injury. Occupational diseases. So these are diseases contracted as a result of an exposure to hazards arising from a work activity. Okay. Now, take note sa occupational disease, investigating occupational disease, medyo you have to put your best foot forward here, because in investigating diseases, you have to trace yung first exposure nung personnel na nakakontract ng disease. The very first exposure, kung kailan. So it needs a lot of backtracking. Okay? Incident or near-miss event. So what are these? This is an event not necessarily defined under national laws and regulations that could have caused harm to persons at work or to the public. So ito na yung sinabi ko kanina, has a potential to cause harm. It may not cause damage to property, it may not cause personal injury, but it has a potential to cause harm. Maybe the next time na mangyari or someone will experience the next time yung near-miss event na yon, it might be a full-blown accident. What about dangerous occurrence? So it is a readily identifiable event, okay, as defined under national laws and regulations. Okay, the next slide will explain it further. Okay, with the potential to cause an injury or disease to persons at work or to the public. So what are these dangerous occurrences? Okay, so under Rule 1053 on report requirements, any dangerous occurrence which may or may not cause serious bodily harm to workers employed or seriously damage the premises of employment shall be investigated and reported by the employer upon occurrence to the regional labor office or duly authorized representative having jurisdiction. So ano yung form na gagamitin natin doon? So usually yung WAIR or online or yung work alert. Diba? Okay. The following are dangerous occurrences which shall be investigated and reported. Okay. So explosion of boilers, the explosion of a receiver of a storage or storage container with pressure greater than atmospheric or any gas or gases, including air or any liquid resulting from the compression of such gases or liquid, bursting of a revolving wheel, grinder stone or grinding wheel operated by mechanical power, collapse of a crane, okay, derrick, winch, hoist, or other appliances used in raising or lowering persons or goods or any part thereof, okay, the overturning of a crane, okay, explosion or fire causing damage to the structure of any room, electrical short circuit or failure of electrical machinery, a plant or apparatus, okay, attended by explosion or fire, causing structural damage thereto and involving its stoppage and misuse for not less than 24 hours. So ito ay nasa Rule 1053.02 of the Occupational Safety and Health Standards. Now, what makes a good investigation? How can you say that the investigation that you have conducted is thorough and identifies yung lahat ng mga causal factors that led to the accident? So, if you are to examine yung aking jigsaw puzzle. So it resembles a jigsaw puzzle. Diba? A jigsaw puzzle, kahit sabihin natin na 1,000 pieces pa yan, pero pag missing ang isang piece, hindi siya kumpleto. So it's like conducting a good accident investigation. All types of causal factors must be identified along with the risk control measures. So what are these? No? These are immediate causes. Basically what are immediate causes? So sometimes we are in actual practice, sometimes we are having difficulty identifying what are immediate causes, what are contributing causes, what are root causes. Sometimes nai-interchange natin yun. And properly identifying those types of causes can make or break the conduct of accident investigation and the root cause analysis. Okay? So, what are immediate causes? So, these are the unsafe practices or conditions that led directly to the incident. So, nagkaroon ng event, nagkaroon ng aksidente. What led directly to that incident? Example would be because the equipment was not locked, an electrical panel board was not locked. That's why a personnel was electrocuted. Kasi napadikit siya doon, yung kanyang upper extremities. What are the contributing causes? So these are the factors naman that enable the unsafe practices or conditions to occur. Now, why is it that the electrical panel board was not locked? Because lack of monitoring. Because wala naman kasi sa procedure, right after the repair of the electrical panel board, ay kailangan pala magkaroon ng checking, magkaroon ng housekeeping, the housekeeping na kasama yung paglalak ng mga electrical panel boards. Very, very simple procedure, but it can have a very big effect doon mismo sa programa on accident prevention. And then, as you go deeper, in identifying the causes, all the causal factors, we come to the root cause of the accident. So what are these? So these are gaps in internal responsibility system, or what we call the management system. Now, take note that as you dig deeper, as we dig deeper to the root cause of the problem, the more it gets complicated. Why? Talking of a management system, sino usually ang mga involved or accountable doon mismo sa pag-come up ng management system? So these are procedures. So these are policies. These are commitments made by the important personnels sa loob ng isang organization. Now, you will be having problems along the way in conducting interviews. Diba? Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, the severity of the accident also depends on the composition of your investigation team. So, kaya nga the need to source out from the different levels of the organization is very important sa pag-come up ng accident investigation team. Okay? Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, di ba? The most recommended na mag-lead ng investigation team is the supervisor. Now, imagine if a supervisor will interview someone much higher from him sa level ng organization. So I think it's much wiser for someone, for me, as the lead investigator, no, to solicit the help of a member of an accident investigation team na of the same caliber nung i-interviewin. Diba? You know what I mean? Diba? So, it has something to do also with the strategy. Ano yung dapat na strategy? Kaya nga dapat bago kayo mag-conduct ng accident investigation, you have to strategize first. Okay? And syempre, if you are to investigate a near-miss event, obviously, it's very impractical naman to involve someone na who belong to the higher echelon of the organization. So, syempre, maybe from the supervisor down, pwede na mag-investigate nung near-miss event. Okay? Now, talking of the knowledge and skills for investigators, hindi naman ito limited, no? Hindi ito limited na ito dapat na meron, no? An investigator should have, no, yung knowledge and skills na ito. So, this is a minimum, no? Minimum knowledge and skills, no? Ang maganda doon is magkaroon ng continuous capacity building each member of the accident investigation team, and that should form part of the program, no, ng organization. Okay? And isa-isahin natin ito, no? How about in interviewing, no? What do we mean when we say interviewing skills? It means the ability, no, to draw out the relevant information through effective questioning. Okay? Because having this skill, no, makakatulong siya, no, sa takbo ng accident investigation. When we speak of communications as to verbal and written, it is the ability to interact effectively, no, with injured persons, witnesses and suspects, as well as other investigators, and also to communicate the findings of the organization to a wide variety of individuals and organizations. Because take note, hindi lang sa loob ng iyong organization, no, you will be communicating the proceedings, no, of the accident investigation. You will also be dealing with maybe the government authorities. Okay? And how to effectively communicate yung proceedings or the report of the accident investigation, no, can be a very big factor doon mismo sa iyong programa on accident investigation. Technical competence. It's not only capacity building, no, ng team, no, but also it is the awareness, okay, of safe working procedures that should be adopted with particular relevance to the event, okay, under investigation. Hazard recognition, the ability to ensure workers and investigators are not exposed to unnecessary risks. So that falls under planning. Okay. So maybe as part of the accident investigation team, there is a team, no, na pupunta doon mismo sa scene, sa site, and assess the situation first. No? Assessing involves identifying the appropriate type of PPE, identifying the necessary control measures that should be in place first in order for the investigation team to mobilize. Okay? Interaction. The interaction skill. These are personal attributes that enable effective relations with other people. Okay? Yeah. So, tandaan natin, there are a variety of strategies, no, on how to deal with the different levels of organization. especially ito madalas naming sinasabi to, no? When it comes to training sa course, sa BOSH, no? Safety officers, you have to know, no, to properly know how to effectively communicate to the different levels of the organization. Iba ang pakikipag-usap sa level ng workers, with your same level, and to the levels of the management when it comes to conveying the importance of safety, di ba? So workers basically ano when you talk of safety, you talk mainly on the personal experience. Okay? When it comes to the management naman, you talk mainly on the compliance. You talk mainly on the possible violations that the company might have committed vis-a-vis ano yung mga violations or na breach doon sa mga government laws when it comes to OSH. Okay? Deduction, no? The skill on deduction. So it is the ability, okay, to scrutinize all the evidence obtained. So we can do this through observation, witness statements, and from documentary evidences. And from there, no, the ability also to form a coherent picture that enables the causal factors to be identified. Organizational skill. So it is the ability to record and organize the information obtained. And finally, investigator personnel should also have a skill, no, pertaining to attention to detail. So it is the ability, okay, to ensure that all reasonable lines of inquiry have been followed. So, hindi ibig sabihin that if you conduct your first salvo of your let's say an interview, no, right there and then makukuha mo na kaagad yung mga informations necessary for your root cause analysis. Because who knows, along the way, no, nung nag-convene kayo after the first salvo of the interview, no, there might be some angles, no, some factors, no, na na-open, no, na hindi na nahagip kumbaga nung unang interview. So you conduct another follow-up interview. Okay? Now, ito yung kaninang sinabi ko na peace technique. No? Any member of the accident investigation team can use this. No? So what does peace technique stand for? P for plan, okay? E for engage and explain, A for account, clarify and challenge, C for closure, and E for evaluate. Okay. So iisa-isahin natin yan. What do we mean when we say plan? Not only ensuring all matters are covered, okay, tandaan natin during planning stage, all interviews will require planning. Okay? And also, yung talking points there, the discussion points there, should also include what are the subject areas that should be covered and in what order. So you list areas to ensure that they will be covered. Drafting questions, no, may be required. Okay. And what roles will interviewers take? So before the conduct of actual the interview proper and the conduct of ocular inspection doon sa accident site, no? Ito yung dapat na activity na ginagawa ng accident investigation team. Also, the roles that each interviewers will take. Kumbaga, no? So, meron ka bang principal interviewer and summarizer? Will the team be broken down into, let's say, isang team, dalawa kayo, or tatlo? So, sino ang magli-lead? Who will do the who will be the principal interviewer, and who will take notes? So, that is very important. Magkakaroon ka ng difficulty kasi, no, if you will assume multi-roles, no, especially in interviewing. Kasi mawawala yung yung rapport, no? You have to establish kasi rapport doon mismo sa iyong interviewing. Okay? And other legal sources, no? You might be missing, no? Legal forms, no? Recorders, no? Any other equipment which are necessary doon sa conduct ng accident investigation natin. And pro forma, no? Yung company, meron bang pro forma na kailangan gamitin? No? See to it na kumpleto yon. Engage and explain. Sabi diyan, you make the witness feel at ease. Why? Tandaan natin, no? First impressions count. Tandaan natin, no, that the witnesses may be nervous because you is a person, you are a person of authority, and automatic yon. The witness may be nervous, so placing them at ease will make it easier for investigators to obtain information. You gain the witness's trust, okay, in ferreting out, no, in extracting information from them. Okay. You explain what is the purpose of your interview. So yun yung pre-interview phase. You explain what is the purpose. So basically, hindi dapat mawawala doon yung how and why, no? Bakit siya pinatawag? Bakit siya naimbitahan for an interview? You explain how the process works. And this may be defined by national legislation. And thank them for agreeing to meet. So that might be some of the discussion points na pwedeng i-include ninyo, no, under the stage on engage and explain. Okay? Next stage will be the account, clarify, and challenge. So listening to their version of events and contest the information if required. The account is where the information is obtained from the witness. So tandaan natin, you allow the witness to speak. Okay? Do not interrupt, and thank them for responding. Okay? Use active listening skills. This is very important. Ano-ano yung mga active listening skills na yun? Eye contact, nod your head, no? You take limited notes. Yeah. Nodding your head, ibig sabihin na nodding your head that you agree doon sa sinasabi niya. Nodding your head meaning you are attentive doon sa kanyang mga sinasabi. Okay? Kaya nga active listening skills. You don't do your best, no, as an interviewer, no, not to lose yung contact na yun. The challenge stage, no, is where any consistencies can be challenged. It can be conducted only after all information has been obtained. Account, clarify, and challenge. How about closure? So ibig sabihin, you close the interview and you thank the interviewee. Now, this is now the conclusion of the interview. Okay? You summarize the information obtained. You thank them first for the opportunity na binigay nila, na doon sa invitation, an interview. Maybe you can tell them that before we formally end our interview, let me summarize, no, yung ating napag-usapan. Okay? And then from there, you can check, no? You can still validate, no, na okay, ito po yung aming tanong, ito yung sagot mo. Is there any additional information you can share, or okay na po ba yan, or you can still contradict that that answer of yours, or you can recant or babaguhin. You thank the witness as further interviews may be required. This is very important. Okay? Na hindi natin sasabihin na salamat lang, no? No, kasi pagka ganun ang sinabi natin, parang ang dating doon sa in-interview natin is that's it. No? I'm done. Okay? I did my responsibility as a worker. And tapos na yung role ko doon mismo sa accident investigation na yon. So we have to tell them na there might be possibilities. Kasi it's also one way of mind conditioning. No? Para sa susunod, no? Sa susunod na salvo, no? ng interview, no? What if kasama siya doon sa susunod na batch na yon na i-interviewin? So at least na-condition na sila, no? Na eto na yung susunod na batch na sinabi nang nag-interview sa akin, no? Na eto yung sinasabi nila na follow-up interview. Okay? That's very important. Okay. Now, also in one last thing, no? Yung evaluate stage. Ibig sabihin niyan, you assess what they have told you. So, meaning, the information obtained, no? Ano ba yung goal natin kanina sinabi ko? The information obtained must be evaluated to ensure the who, where, when, what, how, and why questions have been answered. Yeah. Closing some lines of inquiry and maybe potentially opening others, which brings me back to the previous statement that I had, na you don't close an interview without informing your interviewee na there might be a possibility na magkaroon ng follow-up interview. Okay? Now, another approach that we can use, no, in questioning witness is the funnel approach. Okay. Specifically, the TED questions. Yeah. Ano nga ba yung TED questions na yan? General information is collected by asking open questions, the TED questions. Basically, you your question starts with tell, explain, and describe. So if you visualize it as a funnel, the general information is at the topmost ng funnel. Unfiltered, raw information coming from the witness. And then more specific from the lower part na, kung mapapansin niyo, no, lower part ng funnel, and more specific and detailed information is sought using closed questions. So, like for example, can you tell me? It's an open question. Can you tell me what you were doing at the time of the accident? Can you tell me what you saw? Can you tell me where you were? Or please explain. TED questions. Please explain what was going on at the time of the accident. Please explain how the work was being carried out. So open questions here. Please describe. Please describe what you saw at the time of the accident. Yun yung first, yun yung mga preliminary questions na po pwede nyong ibigay doon mismo sa interview. And then yung mga confirmatory questions, no? When you operate the saw, is the guard usually in place? What time did the accident happen? Much more specific na mga sagot. No? Who taught you to operate the saw? No? Do you know where the operating instructions for the saw are? So it takes practice, no? It takes practice in using this one, no? The funnel approach. Okay, and as you go along, no, this approach, no, together with the peace technique, no, will be a very vital. Will play a vital role, no, in root cause analysis. Also in questioning witnesses, if the case of soliciting the services of an interpreter is kailangan natin gawin yun. Especially sa construction industry, di ba? Maraming projects, no? Maybe sa region, no? Especially kung halimbawa yung supervisor is yung kanyang native tongue is not with the location, no? Nasa lugar na yon, no? And they have witnesses, no? Let's say ako ay Bicolano, tapos ang interviewin ko ay from the Visayas region. So I really need to have an interpreter. You only ask questions the witness has the knowledge to answer. Okay? So you have to beware of hearsay. What are hearsay? So these are information the witness has no first-hand knowledge of. Hindi ka po pwedeng magtanong doon sa witness na, in your opinion, diba? In your opinion, o pwede din bang nakita ng iyong line leader yung sitwasyon? Kasi tandaan natin, no, what we are about to extract from the witnesses are the first hand or the first person point of view. Kung ano yung na-experience, ano yung nakita, ano yung narinig, ano yung naramdaman, ano yung naamoy nung witness. First person information. And then also when questioning witness, you do not show emotions. Okay? You do not agree or disagree. Okay? Kaya nga sinabi ko kanina, di ba? And yet, sabi ko kanina, you have to have your active listening skills, no? By nodding. Kaya sabi ko kanina, di ba? Hindi ibig sabihin na ikaw ay tumango, agree ka doon mismo sa sinabi niya. Okay? And also, very important thing, no? When questioning witnesses, do not assist the witness to answer. Especially kung halimbawa, medyo nagmamadali ka na doon sa iyong pag-conduct ng interview, no? We really have to be meticulous. We have to be patient enough, no, to follow, no, yung mga whatever procedures ng iyong accident investigation, especially sa pag-conduct ng interview. Okay. So when it comes to preparations naman before commencing an investigation, so tandaan natin yung allocation of resources and roles. Okay. So speaking of roles, so na-discuss ko na yan doon mismo sa P, no? Under the peace technique, you plan and prepare. Okay. You obtain records, no? The company, unit, site, accident history records, no? Usually nangyayari ito pagka halimbawa ang isang branch, no, is isang unit, no, walang capacity to perform an accident investigation, and the mother company has one. No? So you obtain records from the branch unit. Okay? Kung meron bang accident history records, And maybe if you are a a member of a government agency and going to investigate, no? Yun ang ating mga necessary documents na kailangan. Ensure investigators are equipped, okay, with appropriate, no, personal protective equipment. First things first, personal protective equipment. Equipment to record site conditions. Mga kinakailangan natin, no? Camera, video, no? Tape measures kung kinakailangan. And ensure the accident site is safe. In gathering information, okay, kaninang introduction ko, nahagip ko na yung 5W1H. So, very important questions, questions that are very essential doon sa pagkandak ng accident investigation. Information collected by investigator who decides what is relevant, no, and how information is collected. What is relevant, speaking of ano ba yung goal natin? Ano ba yung objective natin sa accident investigation? So, as to who, no? So all accidents or diseases will have a who. Sometimes the who will be the person that experienced the near-miss event. Tandaan natin yan. And sometimes the who is a person reporting a potential incident who experienced a near-miss event. The incident may have involved several people but not resulted in injury. Okay? And also you consider the witnesses. Okay? So, because they may have valuable information na kailangan nyo dun sa iyong investigation. As to where and when, so you identify the exact location of the accident, exact location of maybe the equipment. You identify the exact time of the accident. And as to accident involving diseases, involving illnesses, remember that ill health may take time to develop. So ang usapan dito is, when was the first exposure doon sa hazard? So magbabacktrack tayo dyan. And as to what, no, basically what happened. So you record a simple sequential description of events, maybe a timeline. Okay? It's a simple, maybe it's a simple box type ng mga diagram, di ba? Leading to the event, no? With corresponding timelines. You include the witnesses and all the people involved. You note the equipment and substances involved and how it was used. You record and measure the accident environment. You take photographs, video, and you find out about the management environment. Who gave instructions, as well as the protocols that should have been in place. So it talks about the procedure. So what are the standard procedures doon mismo sa process na yon? How was the activity being carried out? So ito yung magiging guide points natin, no? In interviewing witnesses, or maybe conducting ocular inspections, or maybe document reviews. How was the activity being carried out? How else could the work have been done? How else could protection measures have been organized? So, pwedeng isa sa mga itanong natin doon mismo sa mga witnesses. Sa palagay ninyo, no, in your own opinion, no, what could have been the safety measures in place para hindi sana nangyari yung accident? That those informations will be very valuable. Okay. How do the people involved believe they should have done the job if there were no constraints on them? How would the people involved want to do the job in the future? So basically, it's more on guide points in the interview, no? Interview stage ng mga witnesses. And also, don't forget yung injured, especially, no? Especially yung injured personnel. As to the why stage, no? Why was the work being undertaken? Yan po pwede nating i-include, no, sa mga guide questions natin. Why was that method being used? Let's say, merong established na work procedure. But then, nung nangyari sa actual, before the accident, before nangyari yung accident, ibang procedure yung ginawa. Bakit? Why was that method being used? Why was it being done now? Was there a deadline? Bakit kailangan i-rush? Maybe because bakit isa sa mga causal factors is kasi nagkaroon ng rush delivery. Maybe one of the causal factors nung nangyaring aksidente. So why was it being done? Why was it being done here? Especially kung isa sa mga factor na nakikita ninyo, it has something to do with the location ng pinangyarihan ng aksidente. So, those factors are worth being followed up. Okay? Bakit hindi dito sa talagang established na location kung saan talaga as per procedure dito ginagawa yung process? Bakit dito sa lugar na to? Was this the most suitable place for the work? Okay. Why was PPE used or not used at all? What did workers think it was protecting against? Take note, very important yung point of view dito ng tao. No? Yung perception ng tao when it comes to using the personal protective equipment. Why? Because it will indicate, no? It will indicate yung kanyang attitude, no? Towards safety. Diba? And why do the workers involved think that the accident or incident occurred? So, yan yung mga pwedeng gamitin natin, ha? Guide points. Now, in analyzing information, the purpose of this stage is to determine the causes of the accident or incident. And also to concentrate on finding the root causes. Pinaka-importante doon is the root cause, no? Not just the immediate and contributory causes. In actual practice kasi, I know all of you, no, or most of you will agree with me, no, na pagka nakagather na tayo ng maraming causal factors, ano, sabihin natin nakarating lang ng contributory causes, yung accident investigation, ini-stop na natin. One of the factors, one of the reasons is because kasi nga accident investigation is time consuming. It is already taking a toll doon mismo sa production ninyo, no? 'Di ba? Ang dami nang nagiging backlog. So tinitigil na. Pangalawa, it can be the reason can be hindi fully capacitated yung nagkakandak ng accident investigation. Diba? Kasi akala nila, okay na to, no? Just setting up signages, just informing the persons concerned, no? The people concerned na kailangan magsuot kayo ng PPE is enough doon mismo sa control measures. Yan. So, the more na yung mga members ng accident investigation na yun should be capacitated doon sa pag-conduct ng activity na yun. Management can then re-examine risk assessment that apply and learn from the accident. And this is the step that enables future accidents to be prevented. So this is where the proactive factor comes in. Diba? The proactive angle comes in. Okay? Because you are now talking here of thinking or coming up with enablers, no, na makapag-prevent ng mga future accidents. There are a variety of rules, no, of I should rather tools, no, variety of tools that you can use in root cause analysis, no? Okay. Among the tools that you can use is the fishbone diagram, no, or the Ishikawa diagram. Okay. That concentrates doon mismo sa work system, no? The people, the equipment, the material, the environment, and the procedures. Okay. You can also use the fault tree analysis or the YY analysis. Okay. YY analysis basically involves asking continuously the neutral question of why until you identify yung root cause nung naging accident. And also analyzing the information will reveal many types of circumstances, okay, and sub-events. So, in reality, ito yung sinasabi natin na nakakapatagal, kumbaga, doon mismo sa ating pagkandak ng accident investigation, no? Yung mga sub-events, yung mga circumstances, they can also be individually investigated. So what are these? So these are human factors, job factors, organizational factors, plant and equipment factors. So what are these? So in talking of human factors, so this involves, no, physical abilities of maybe the person involved, the person injured. So yung kanyang strength, yung mobility niya, yung kanyang state of health, yung condition niya mismo. The competence ng personnel involved, no? The knowledge, skills, and experience in undertaking the task involved. Is he or she competent enough to carry out the job? Meron pa siyang concrete proof ng kanyang competence. Behavioral issues. Why workers did not follow a system? So kailangan maimbestigahan natin yon. Bakit nga ba meron ng mga sets of procedures, kumpleto ka na sa sets of procedures, and yet isa sa mga issues are the behavioral issues ng mga workers. Bakit hindi pa rin nila sinusunod? Why are still they are doing unsafe acts, committing unsafe acts? And also other factors like fatigue, stress, or maybe it has something to do with the morale of the personnel involved. Maybe the personnel is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or maybe the person is taking medicines, no, prescription drugs, and maybe yung iniinom niyang gamot ay nakaapekto sa kanyang performance that led to the accident. How about job factors? How much attention is needed for the task? So yun ang aalamin natin. Is it critical? Yung task ba is very critical for you to have to come up with that much attention? Okay? Were there any divided attentions or distractions doon mismo sa job? Is there inadequate procedures? No? As a result of the investigation, did one of the the factors under job factors na nag-come out is an inadequate procedure. And other under organizational factors, the safety culture. The management believes in safety and health. Work pressure. Maybe it has something to do with the long hours nung worker, the personnel. Maybe it has something to do with the availability ng sufficient resources. The quality of supervision. So, is the task require that much attention na kailangan nating i-elevate or i-uplift yung quality ng supervision? So, actually, dugtong-dugtong siya. No? Magkakabit yung mga causal factors na yan, no? And in analyzing yung mga sub-events. How about plant and equipment factors? So, during the conduct of the ocular inspection ng accident site, what can you say about the layout? Is it user-friendly? Meaning, wala bang, let's say, wala bang malaking occurrence nung mixture nung man, no, nung personnel and the machine, no? Maybe yung forklift way, no, yung interaction ng forklift, yung traffic mismo nung layout, hindi po pwedeng nakapag-contribute doon mismo sa aksidente, no? The housekeeping, the lighting, the noise, the equipment itself, no? How easy is it to interpret the controls? Maybe the company has an equipment, no, na hindi na translate yung mga procedure, no, yung mga controls doon mismo na nakasulat, no, maybe from a Chinese or Japanese character, hindi siya na-translate doon mismo into maybe an English or a Filipino language. And maybe isa din yan sa factor kung bakit or nakapag-contribute doon mismo sa aksidente. Okay? Is the equipment designed to detect or prevent error? Yung machine guards niya, no? Is it within the standards? No? So take note, when it comes to the standards on machine guarding, it's under Rule 1200. Okay? Are the guarding standards suitable? And then, in identifying risk control, no, provided, no, na lahat ng causal factors ay na-identify na natin, especially yung mga root causes. Now, now identify risk control measures that, if in place, would have broken the causation chain. So recommendations where possible should follow the hierarchy of control. So ano-ano ba yung hierarchy of control measures natin? So you have the engineering control, the administrative control, and the use of PPE. Now, hierarchy meaning in order of prioritization. Okay? So you have to first come up with an engineering control. Why? Because engineering control controls or prevents or controls the hazard at the very source. Okay? One good example of an engineering control is the machine guards. How about the admin control? Limiting the exposure nung personnel doon mismo. mismo sa hazard, no? Kaya nga meron tayong shifting, no? Work shifts, no? And also intensifying the information, no? The information campaign on the hazards in material na yun. Kaya nga meron tayong mga signages. Diba? Meron pa tayong mga appropriate or standard na mga colors. No? When it comes to signages. And the use of PPE, no? We have to take note, no? Na ang PPE, no? The personal protective equipment should be of the approved design. Not only appropriate doon mismo sa hazard ng ating pagawaan ng work process, but also approved type. Meaning, dumaan siya sa testing standards na as mandated by the law. Okay? And when identifying risk controls, no, you consider all possibilities. Imagine what could be changed to alter the risk, no, and the perception of risk. So you revisit, you readdress your risk assessment. Okay? Yan. So magkakabit yan. No? It's not just recommending controls. No? Kumbaga meron akong 3 recommendations dito. Meron akong short-term recommendation and meron akong long-term recommendations. Okay na yan. Tapos na tayo. No? Tapos na ang accident investigation ko. But my question is, no, how sure are you that what you have recommended will be effective in addressing the risks involved? What better way of doing it, of proving it, is by conducting risk assessment. Diba? Kasi obviously, pagka nagkaroon ng aksidente, mataas na mataas yung risk level niya. So, dapat mapababa natin yung level niya, or if not, mas maganda ma-eliminate natin yung risks involved. Or mapababa natin up to an acceptable level. Okay? This is the step that is most often missed out in investigation. Okay? Especially when people are looking to attribute blame. Yan. Kung sa simula pa lang, flawed na yung ating objective. No? The objective, let's say, the objective of your conduct of accident investigation is to further implicate this personnel, no? Para matanggal natin. No? To further substantiate, no, yung kanyang pagkakatanggal. No? Hindi natin ma-accomplish the very essence of conducting an accident investigation. Okay? So, in identifying risk control measures, we go past that stage to attribute yung blame. So, action plan. Having decided what must be done, an action plan will ensure that it happens. Okay? The action plan should include or specify what is to be done. So, who is to do it? Yeah. So, yung mga persons in charge bibigyan na natin ng, let's say, time frame, no, in accomplishing, no, yung mga control measures na yon, and specifies when it is to be done, no, by sabihin natin immediately reattaching the guard. So that's one example of an immediate control measure. And maybe within 3 months, no, installation ng LEVs. Okay, so that's one example of a long-term solution. So the final report provides conclusion. Tandaan natin yan. No? The final report should provide conclusion doon sa accident and then doon sa investigation. More importantly, the evidence of the lessons learned. Lessons learned. Yan ang isa sa mga mahalaga na dapat ay ma-achieve, no, ng activity na ito. A record for the business and authorities, o meron ka ng proper documentation. It is also a means to communicate lessons learned to others. Kaya nga, di ba, sabi ko kanina, one of the reasons why do we need to conduct accident investigations, no, is to learn and replicate kung ano yung mga risk control measures ngayon na natutunan natin to other processes within the organization. It is also a means of demonstrating that deficiencies have been identified and corrected. Okay? So, under the report requirements, okay, report notification, okay, mga safety officers, especially, tandaan natin, no, that all work accidents or occupational illnesses under Rule 1053.01 in places of employment resulting in disabling condition, okay, or dangerous occurrences shall be reported by the employer to the regional office or duly authorized representative. Yeah. Where accident or illnesses results in death, no, or permanent total disability. Okay, ano nga ba yung permanent total disability niya? It is a condition, no? Actually, yung examples nung permanent total disability is enlisted doon mismo sa loob ng Rule 1050. No? It is a condition where after the accident, the worker or the personnel can no longer or permanently and totally incapacitated, no, in performing kung ano ang kanyang regularly established job. So, ano nga ba yung regularly established job? So, again, it is defined under Rule 1050 that a regularly established job is kung ano yung talagang nakasulat, no? What has been written, yung kanyang duties and responsibility, no, doon sa kanyang role, no, sa loob ng organization. Okay? If he conducts welding operation, no, so yun yung kanyang regularly established job. If he is involved in scaffolding operation, no, so yun ang kanyang regularly established job. Hindi yan yung mga ako ay scaffolder pero pinagawa ako ng excavation works. No? Pero kung wala yun doon sa aking job description, no, hindi yan yung aking regularly established job. Now, kung merong incident, no, kung merong accident, no, resulting to death or pala nila ay kailangan within 24 hours, nakapag-come up na tayo ng report. That is impossible. So, ito ay extracted, no, from the release, no, under Labor Advisory number 7, series of 2022. Ang sabi dito is pursuant to section 6.2.a of the guidelines on the nationwide implementation of alert level system for COVID-19 response, no, issued by the IATF on the 27th of February 2022. Okay, the submission, okay, ayan, tandaan natin ha, the submission of WAIR COVID form online shall no longer be mandatory. Establishments, however, shall still submit the employer's work accident illness report o yung WAIR to DOLE every 30th of the month. Now, may pagbabago, di ba? Dati, 20th, every 20th day of the month, no? Following the date of the occurrence of the accident. No? Ito ay para doon sa, sa lahat ng mga types of accident, no? And reports, no, ng illnesses. Ngayon, from 20th, naging 30th na. Ha? Every 30th day of the month. With or without any accidents or reportable work-related illnesses. Okay. So magsasubmit pa rin tayo, no? Kahit wala tayong on that specific month, on the particular month, walang cases ng aksidente, report pa rin natin, report pa rin tayo, mag-submit pa rin tayo. So, lalagay natin, walang aksidente. Okay? So, including COVID cases, through the DOLE establishment report system. So, you have there the link. Okay? In compliance to the provisions of Rule 1050 of the OSHS of the Philippines. Now, the WAIR form may also be used as a supporting document for filing of claims. So now you see the importance nung WAIR, no? in properly accomplishing that WAIR form. No? This is a substantial component, no? Kailangan natin to, no? In support doon sa pag-file ng claims natin. Yan. So ito yung ating WAIR A na tinatawag. Okay? So you have there fill in only the gray blanks. Okay? So madaling-madali naman na fill upan, no? So user-friendly na siya. Okay? And if injured, no? If injury case, so you have to completely fill in all blanks as appropriate. So naandyan naman na naka-indicate yan. Aside from the WAIR A, you also have the WAIR B. So this is supplementary doon mismo sa WAIR A. Kung if the accident involves multiple worker ang involved yan, no? Ayan. So for multiple worker involvement, insert additional rows or pages as necessary to be attached to WAIR A. So yan yung pinaka format niya, no? And the signatory, tandaan natin, is either the OHC personnel or the safety officer. And don't forget yung employer or the authorized representative ng employer. As to the annual submission naman, when it comes to compliance doon mismo sa Rule 1050, you have there the Annual Work Accident Illness Exposure Data Report or the AEDR. Okay? So this is submitted on or before the January 20 of the following year. Okay, again, with or without the accident. Yeah. So you have to fill in necessary information as required dito. So you have there yung name ng establishment, ano yung nature ng business mo, no? Your address. Okay, the address should coincide with the declared address as stated doon sa compliance ninyo naman sa Rule 1020. Di ba? Ayan. Kasi doon sa Rule 1020, tandaan natin, include